Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm doing a new Friday episode on how you can improve your performance and longevity. And again, I did this last week. I'm recording on a Sunday because I just did my long run this morning. And as I'm running, I have all these thoughts of tips I want to share with you, whoever is trying to improve their running endurance, whether you are a triathlete or just a runner. And improving our performance as we get older is always my favorite goal to have as I return to racing next year after a long hiatus. If you read my book yet, if not, please order on Amazon for a holiday gift for yourself and others. Life is not a race, it is a journey with the holistic method is on Amazon. And that's my personal story of what happened to me. So if you don't know already why I haven't raced, pretty much since 2013. The beginning of it was my last 50K trail run in 2013 in February and January 2013. I did pretty much my last marathon, Carlsbad, and I signed up for Ironman Canada that's returning to Penticton next year, 2020, and I'm excited to see if I am able to train without stressing my body out from the inside out too much and how to improve my mitochondria function. So lately, I've been talking a lot about health building, rebuilding the whole you from the inside out with what I'm learning as a FDN practitioner, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And I've been sharing that information with you on Wednesdays and Fridays, talking about more training and performing for endurance athletes, as well as tips on fueling as a low-carb, fat-adapted athlete and working on your metabolic flexibility, metabolic efficiency, and all of that. Now, before we get started, I would love for you to go to my website when you're not driving your car. DebbiePotts.net is the website. Now, if you go click on podcasts, you should be able to find the archives file, because we can't keep all these episodes on iTunes forever. So Fit, Fat, Fast was a podcast I started as a co-host with John Smith back before you guys even knew about fueling with fat, being a fat-adapted athlete. In 2011, we were doing this. So we have 100 episodes all about these topics people are finally curious about learning this year, 2019. So I've already been down this rabbit hole talking about how to be fat adapted, and there's so much more we've learned over the last 10 years about how to improve your performance longevity by eating fat to burn fat, but also with intermittent fasting, the 1 meal a day, and digestion and liver function, gut health. You know, there's a lot to it. And that's what the holistic method program is that I do for groups and one-on-one, including nutritional therapy and my FDN health detective work for individuals, where we'll incorporate functional lab testing to help people individually improve their performance and longevity. And in the group programs, really focusing on the 8 elements of the holistic method. And that's going to be what I talk about a lot in the podcast, is how to train the whole athlete from the inside out with the holistic method is about 8 elements to really work on your health and performance and longevity and to burn fat. You need to work on nutrition, of course, and exercise, but there's the stress factor that no one really talks about enough, because stress is a blood sugar response. Chronic stress will break down your entire body. So I'm teaching you how to avoid breakdown and burnout and avoid going through what I had happen since 2013, which, you know, as I said, I haven't been able to race until next year. I'll start to see how I'm doing by doing a triathlon in Ironman Canada. Now, sleep is crucial to performance and recovery and repair. Detoxification happens while you're sleeping. Movement and mobility is essential to health, because if you're sitting on your butt all day, it doesn't matter if you worked out in the morning. I want you to get up and move every hour and get movement throughout the day and do some mobility drills and squat, lunge, twist, reach, side bend, get movement in throughout the day, not just your training sessions. And then a really biggie, which is what I focus on in the 30-day group program I'm launching every other month, is the 30-day reset and repair program, where we work on digestion and gut health. And that includes working on making sure you have enough acidity in your stomach, organ, and your small intestines are functioning ideally with your digestive enzymes, and our food's getting broken down and assimilated, and our gut wall lining is nice and strong and intact, and we have a good barrier there so we don't have the bad guys escape out through the gut wall lining, the little villi. So we work on that. And then hydration, making sure you drink enough water, not being afraid of sea salt in your water, getting those good electrolytes to stay hydrated throughout the day and not over caffeinate yourself. And then the last one is really important, because I find this essential part of really knowing how your stress is your happiness. And it also will tell us how your digestion and gut health is, because if you're not breaking down your proteins into amino acids and your gut wall lining's damaged, you're not going to be able to make your neurotransmitters, your serotonin, and your gut is connected to your brain and your vagal tone. So all these different elements of the holistic method really impact the eighth element: happiness, gratitude, joy. Feeling alive and thriving every day is what the goal is here as a holistic method program and the whole athlete. So today's focus is on training correctly for building your endurance up. So if you are thinking of doing a marathon next May, someone told me, or I'm doing Ironman, which is a marathon at the end of a long bike ride and swim, that you'll probably want to be focusing right now on MAFFA type of training, max aerobic function heart rate, and building up your endurance. So I assume you've been running already and have a little bit of base. Let's say you're starting with a 5-mile base run. Now, if you want to train, you can look at my blog. I wrote an article for Lava Man Triathlon newsletter that I think I posted on my blog page on debbiepotts.net on how to train for minimalist training approach, and doing a running workout alone is not triathlon training, but doing, say, a run Tuesday and Thursdays and your long run on Sundays. So assuming you're 5 miles, that's kind of your base. Let's start with 5 miles as your long run, and then go up to 6 miles, 7, 8, and then maybe go up another mile. Then I kind of backtrack and then alternate weeks. And you can do every third week, you take a 50% off volume week, and then build back up every 3 weeks, and so on. So you can do by miles or go by time. So if you say take an hour, 15 minutes is your long run you're starting with at MAF heart rate, and I'll get to what that is. Max aerobic function is 1E minus your age. I put all this in the show notes too, which I wrote before I started podcasting so I'd stay on track, but I'm already off track. So training, say 1:15, that'll be my long run on Sunday. Then the next week I'm going to add 10 minutes to that time. So maybe I do an hour 25 to hour 30, and then I build again. Well, at a certain point, I am going to just stay. So say your max miles, you get up to 10 miles. Well, for me, as example, I have been doing low heart rate for years, and I'm building up my mileage so I can race again. So I have done training for 20 years, but obviously I had a setback since 2013. So I'm just have built up gradually to 2 hours. And I just got to 2 hours last week, and I'm not going to add any more time on that, or miles or time, for a few more months. I'm going to work at getting faster in 2 hours. So I didn't look at my watch today. I just looked at the time, and I didn't want to see how many miles I did, and I didn't want to look at my pace, and I didn't want to get depressed. I just wanted to enjoy my time out, 2 hours. Now, let me say that I have built this up, so don't jump to 2 hours, because there is easy way to damage your body and to increase your risk for injury. So meet your body where it's at, as I say all the time. Everybody is different. I've been doing this for 20 years, plus that. Let's see, 40. Yeah. I've been doing this over 20 years. I started doing marathons when I was 29. Somehow I'm 48 this month, and I say I'm 35 still. So I've been 35 for a long time, but I'm still going with that. But that really, mathematically, I've been doing this for 20 years and doing heart rate training since it pretty much was out there. I used to work with Sally Edwards when heart zone training was developed. I helped her lead seminars with dance skin and heart zone training. I used to do workshops with her years ago, and that was kind of before heart rate monitor training became a thing. And then I got into working with Mark Allen as my triathlon coach when I started doing Ironmans. In 2001, I was training with heart rate monitor. I started working on Mark Allen's coaching program and joining his elite team 2003, 2004. And he uses phylmaphotones heart rate training as well. So 180 minus your age. Let me just skip over to that part. I'm already off my schedule here on my show notes. So if you subtract 180 minus your age, we're trying to find your maximum aerobic training heart rate. So just going to the link I put in the show notes to explain the 180 formula, which has been around for a very long time. And I've done many podcasts over the years, not for a while, but a long time ago with phylmaphatone to describe this a little bit more. Okay, so subtract your age from 180, so whatever that number is. Now, the next step, you modify this number, selecting among the following categories that best matches your fitness and health profile today. So A, if you are recovering from a major illness, heart disease, any operation, hospital stay, etc., or on any regular medication, subtract an additional 10 heartbeats. If you are injured, have regressed in training or competition, get more than 2 colds or bouts of flu per year. If you have allergies or asthma, or if you've been inconsistent in your training or just getting back into training, subtract an additional 5 beats. If you've been consistently training at least 4 times weekly, and not overtraining, that sounds like overtraining nowadays, up for 2 years without any problems, be honest with yourself here. In category A and B, keep the number 180 minus the age the same. Okay, so you don't add or subtract anything. The last one, if you've been training more than 2 years without any problems in A or B, have made progress in competition without any injury. Make sure you know, look back in your life, more than 2 years, add another 5 beats. So, example they have here on their website, if you are 30 years old and you fit into category B, which is you are injured, have regressed in training or competition, and get more than 2 colds or flu per year, you have allergies or asthma or inconsistent in training, then you will add or subtract 5. So the 30-year-old would go 180 minus 30 is 150, and then 150 minus 5 is, how's good is your math, 145 beats per minute. So that'd be the top end of this person's heart rate that they will stay at. Now, I know it's a struggle when you're running to keep your heart rate from climbing, But this is why I'm talking about this a lot lately in the fall winter season. Should be most people's off season when you're working on this base training and working on this max aerobic function, MAF, we call it MAF, used to be maffetones type of training. You will want to stay, say it's 145 as higher end to 125. So I always, when I coach people, do that minus 20 beats, and that's your aerobic training range that you're going to stay in. The purpose is to efficiently build an aerobic base, your aerobic engine, where you're training your body to burn fat for fuel. The main source of your energy should be coming from fat and small percentage from carbohydrates. Now, if I could, I did this for 10 years, metabolic efficiency testing cart, where I hook you up to a machine while you're running or biking. It's a face mask on, and we measure your RQ value, your ratio of your oxygen to your carbon dioxide out, and we can determine the percentage of fat fuel you're using, you're burning at which heart rate, and the percentage of carbohydrates at which heart rate you're training out on the treadmill, and your pace, your speed. So then we can see when that fat number is at the highest, and then we can also see when the carbohydrate usage for fuel crosses over, metabolic crossover point, and where your heart rate is that you switch to depending on more higher percentage of carbohydrates than fat. And that correlates a lot of times. When I was testing people for 10 years before Lifetime Fitness stole it from me, the New Leaf Metabolic Cart was such a great way to figure out, all right, how did Phil Maffetone figure out this formula? Because when I test people, it was pretty right on with what the treadmill test was telling me about a client's max aerobic function heart rate, where I could see on a chart where their fuel source was primarily fat, and where their anaerobic threshold was, and where their ceiling was, where that carbohydrate fuel source was higher than their fat. So what we do is train, say this person here is 145 to 125. We keep training or running, biking, our endurance training workouts at this heart rate until you don't get faster. So you can do a monthly test. Say it's a 5-mile run you're doing, you have the same course that you can replicate this test, this field test every month. So say you can go to track and measure your pace at how many laps you get for a certain time at 145 heart rate. So you have to warm up and get to that heart rate and hold that heart rate and see what you get for 3 miles. Or you can say, okay, I'm going to run at 20 minutes and I'll track what my time was. So there's different ways I'll do it with people, but you can get ideas on Maffetone's website, which is philmaffetone.com/180-formula. And that will tell you a little bit more about the 180 formula. It's been around for a long time, and also how he created it. And it tells you kind of the history of it. But it really works. I did this for Ironman training for years, marathon training. I did metabolic efficiency testing, as I said, on myself as well, so I could see how I kept moving up my fat burning range. When I last got tested, I was training and performing my best. I was able to burn a high percentage of fat up to about 160 something heart rate. And I'll see if I can pull up those pictures of my metabolic test back then. But it works. But there's certain time of the training program, you may want to add some interval work or speed work. So if you're not feeling much gain and you're being really disciplined after you've built a foundation up, so maybe 2-3 months, then you can add some interval training, maybe 1 day a week. As I said in my blog, on Wednesdays, I run on the treadmill 2-3 minutes, increase the speed, and I'm trying to get over 155 to 170 heart rate and do some speed work on Wednesdays in between my strength training. So it's a great efficient workout to do weights, standing up, cables, free weights, tubing, TRX, medicine ball, kettlebells, and I do all that, maybe 3 exercises or so, and then I jump on the treadmill and I just go back and forth doing that. So that's an easy way to get speed workout. The other thing I was going to tell you as well that I suggest is looking at the genetic profile for you, where you are best training at. So if you go to DNA Fit, and it's just dnafit.com, you can upload, as I said in a recent podcast, your raw genetic data that you can do if you did the 23andMe test, or if you did Ancestry DNA. You can order a kit from DNA Fit, or I'm just on their website right now. I can sign into my account and look at my results and tell me a little bit more individualized how I should train for endurance. So it's a ton of great information I find fascinating. If I look at my performance training for an endurance athlete, the 23andMe, I've done, my client had a company called Arivel that did genetic testing. I did DNA Fit test. I did 23andMe. So I was looking at all these genetics going, okay, how is this really accurate? It's just a swab of my saliva on my cheek. We really can collect our genetic info from that cheek swab. Well, DNA Fit was saying the same results as these other programs. My training intensity response says here on DNA Fit, I'm 73% more a power elite athlete. Now, if you looked at my history on, the websites of the athlete website, Athlinks, with them all, my background of racing, with my history that I shared in my personal story, life is not a race, it is a journey. I am definitely not a short distance sprinter at all. I'm endurance athlete. I have been since I started getting into biking, doing a fun little trial and bike ride here up in the Northwest. And I rode a bike and I was like, oh my gosh, I can ride this forever. This is so much fun. And my profiles keep saying I'm better off to do, a power endurance response. I'm 73% power, 27% endurance. Isn't that interesting? I am so not a short sprinter at all. So it just means that my genetic tendency for power activities, by placing priority on power exercise, my training program for an endurance event, I may have more beneficial results in my training program if I do the maffetone type of low heart rate to build my endurance. But the secret sauce I've learned from my genetics is to add some interval training, a little bit more. I used to do a lot of just this low heart rate work, which I believe most of you all need to do for a long period of time because you're the opposite. I've done low heart rate training for 20 years. Most people do black hole training, which is in between the maffetone training and below the anaerobic threshold, below your HIIT training, high intensity interval training heart rate ranges. So if you're always in that black hole, the dead zone training and not getting the benefits of performance gains that you would get from the maffetone endurance, where you increase your fat adaptation, your endurance engine gets stronger, your mitochondria gets stronger, but then you might need over time some interval training. So if you look at your genetic report, as I am looking right now, my fitness.dnafit.com results, powerendurance.com. So this tells me what high intensity power exercise is. So they say high intensity exercise methods are short, intense bursts of exertion to work towards your goal. In general fitness, this is commonly seen as HIIT training, high intensity interval training sessions. In sports training terms, it means high intensity by short sprints or intervals, or resistance training using higher weights but with less volume. Opposite of that is low intensity endurance exercise. So the definition is lower intensity exercise methods use longer, less intense periods of exertion. In general fitness, this means or is most commonly used in road cycling, longer jogging, hiking, cardio work, and circuit style training with higher volumes but lighter weights. In sports, lower intensity disciplines would be generally characterized by the longer distance running, cycling events. Now, my genetic profiles showed I had more of the genotypes that would be more, as I said, for power over endurance. But that doesn't mean I'm a power athlete. It's how I train my body with the right training program for my body would be a mixture of the two. So doing the low heart rate, but then doing a little bit more high intensity intervals. So going back to my run today as an example, I did 2 hours that I got up to last week. And as I said, I'm going to stay at the 2-hour goal time for the next 2 months and work on getting faster and getting more mileage in that 2 hour at my MAF heart rate. So I try to do 130, 140. But as I do on the bike ride, I start adding a little bit of HIIT training or pieces at the end of my run. So when I looked and I ran in Seattle, if you ever come to Seattle, my favorite place to start is Madison Park. Down on Lake Washington off 520 Bridge over there. It's the Arboretum. It's beautiful. And we can run so many different courses. Now, I usually pick courses that have a little more hills. It's not flat, so my heart rate goes up a little bit more. So I have to walk. Now, I'll get to kind of the end. I went over towards Fremont. And so there's hills going across University Bridge, a hill on 40th, down Stoneway to Fremont, cross the bridge, and then it's flat pretty much with around Lake Union. And then I have to go up the hill through Interlochen, which is beautiful trail that's 4 miles back. So I knew the last 30 minutes I started to try to pick it up and then walk, pick it up and then walk. Now, as I said earlier, I don't like to look at my watch because if you look at my show notes, I used to run, not bragging, but I'm just showing use this example. I used to do half marathons for many years and be a 1:35 finish time and place my age group often in marathons and half marathons, endurance races, not short stuff as much. And I used to do a 2:40, 2:45 marathon in an Ironman. In Boston Marathon, my best time was 3:12. Then the next year I did 3:17. So I know I'm capable of running faster, but because I damaged and burned out and had breakdown in my body and all my body systems since 2013, which is why I'm doing health coaching now and being a health detective as a nutritional therapy practitioner and now as a FDN practitioner, I know I can get faster, but I know not to push myself too much and get into this chronic cardio. So I'm staying at 2 hours. Last 30 minutes, I'll add more HIIT training because going back to my DNA report, my genes tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 genetic markers I used to determine your power versus endurance exercise markers. And 1, 2, 3 of those I had a full effect of my genotype, and then I had one of them was a partial effect. So that means if you have, say, 2 dots or 1 dot, that means both parents had the gene. So the genotype for the ACE gene marker is DD. For me, that means I have full effect, versus if I had a para A gene is CG, it's just a partial effect. So you can do this for yourself and look at your own genetics. But you can look at, say, this is IL6, you can click on it and it'll give you information, which is why I don't get paid. I'm not an affiliate with DNA Fit. I don't get anything from them. I just like their program. And interleukin 6, I click on it and tells me that's associated with stimulating the immune system to training and is involved in the inflammatory repair process. And then it shows you are you GG or a CG or a CC. And I'm a GG, which is associated with lower levels of inflammation after hard training sessions leading to a quicker recovery time. This genotype has been independently associated with success and power sports, perhaps due to improved muscle repair after exercise. So you can go through, and I can even, look on the endurance ones and see that, but it doesn't mean I'm one or the other. It's 73% power, 27% endurance, but because I've always trained as an endurance athlete, I still have probably a better training result if I add more interval training into my weekly routine. So that was something I wanted to bring up. And great for holiday gift ideas. There's everything through 23andMe, and Answers to DNA are always on sale this type of year. You can get 2 for 1 and get for your family, but it's really beneficial to do. Okay, so we talked about the 180 formula. I'm just going back to my questions. Let's see. Running nonstop versus run-walk intervals. I would say that is a great way to train. If you run, say 4 minutes, then walk a minute, or even if you're just starting, run 2 minutes, walk a minute. Build that up. Running nonstop is not faster. And I think that adds more chronic stress and increases your cortisol, stress hormones more so, and is more of a breakdown than run walking. So I was going to add, it's in my show notes too, to talk about breakdown versus build up. So that means catabolic is breaking down versus anabolic building up. And it's really, really important for all of you endurance athletes to do strength training, lifting heavier weights, not being afraid of bulking up. Again, you can look at your genetic report and find out what type of training you should do. If you should do 5 to 8 reps of things like I do and I lift heavy, or if you're more of endurance, higher percentage, maybe your body responds doing more 10 to 15 repetitions. I like to lift heavy and do the less reps, more sets. And my body responds to that because you can look at my genetics, it makes sense. So run walking is great to do, and so psychological for these athletes I coach to get over that. It's like, you know what? If you ran 30 minutes versus nonstop versus running 4, walking 1, or running 2, walking 1, I guarantee you I can get you faster. So don't be afraid to run walk. It's not lame. Plus, if you're doing Ironman training, that is my secret sauce, again, to training. Ironman aid stations are usually every mile, and I walk 30 seconds and then I run again. And that's how I did a 3:40, 3:45 time for my run split in an Ironman, because I would walk a mile 26 times. So it was 26 intervals of 1 mile that I would do. So if you're training for a marathon or Ironman, try the 1 mile run, 1 minute walk, and build up to that. But, if you haven't been running, don't just start running till you fall on your face. That a lot of people do. They're like, oh, I ran 30 minutes and I threw up at the end. Like, no, that's not how we train. So if you're building up endurance, it's a gradual increase, 10%. It's kind of the old school way to add a little longer distance or time every week to 1 workout a week. More is not better. Do your shorter workouts, maybe brick training. If you do an Ironman, I do bike run intervals for winter training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Run 5 miles, low heart rate one day, and do some intervals the other day, and then the long run on Sundays. Now, as I said, you can go back to debbiepotts.net, look at the archives 2011 to 2013. I have 100 episodes from Fit, Fat, Fast that are all about metabolic efficiency and maffetone training and eating fat for fuel. Vinnie Tortorich, Dave Asprey, all these people that are huge now were on my show in the beginning, as Jimmy Moore and other people that you know very well who they are these days. The supplements I use before my run, I have coffee and I put some organic heavy cream in it and cinnamon. I have water and I add real salt or Himalayan sea salt into it. And then I take supplements. I'm really big into MitoQ and True Niagen to work on my mitochondria function. Huge area you need to work on for performance longevity, because chronic exercise, chronic cardio, your training you're doing is causing oxidative stress and you're breaking down your body. It's that cardio is catabolic, especially over 45 minutes. So if you want to increase your performance and longevity, make sure you're looking into my podcast I just had with MitoQ and True Niagen. I'm trying to get an episode with them, but it's huge to take mitochondria support. Quicksilver supplements of liquid liposomal delivery. I'm trying to do a podcast with them too, but that is huge to do. Support your mitochondria. Also, doing the hot cold therapy, hormetic stressors, intermittent fasting are other things we talk about in my 30-day group program, which you should do in January or March, but we talk about improving our mitochondria function with hormesis. Other supplements I've taken for years when I was racing, and I still take them because we get auto ship from Hammer Nutrition. It's been around a company for a very long time for endurance athletes, but Endurolites that they have for electrolytes and Race Cap Supremes. I also take K-Pex, which is energy and digestion support supplement that we have a discount code for. We did a podcast with them a couple months ago. And then I take adrenal support from Biomatrix. So I do that before I run. And then when I'm finished running, I take aminos. I have Kion aminos and then antioxidants. And I use Normatec. We have the recovery boots. I have a biomat. That's kind of a nice mat I just lay on my back. Far infrared heat. And I also have my Sunlighten full spectrum sauna in my house, which I'm going to go use next. It's a full, mid, and near infrared wavelengths. They're about $3,500, but they're always on sale. So if you want one, I'm trying to get a discount code for my listeners. So let me know if you want to get more information. I'll hook you up with a discount code from my rep from Sunlighten. Actually, I think she's a head manager now there. So let me know if you want to Sunlighten or get more information. It is amazing. I love having it at my house. And there's a bunch of biohacks you have to do before and after your infrared session to really help the detoxification process. So back to running. My post-run meal today, I don't think I can eat again. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So when we got home, I ran my 2 hours. We went to the grocery store. Still didn't eat anything. I wait till I'm hungry. So I've been fasting before workouts for over 10 years. So it's something I've done for a long time. So I'm capable of running 2-3 hours with just coffee and water beforehand. So some of you might need a little more fuel, or we'll talk to Peter Defty next week about Vespa, but that's something you might need a little carb timing towards your end of your run. But I don't take anything. I just go. But again, I've been doing this 20 years. And started doing my first marathon when I was 29 years old and doing half marathons way before that. And I love my grass-fed burger. Had some bacon, sliced half avocado, Bubby's pickles, sliced some of those guys. And then Primal Kitchen condiments are so good. They're mayonnaise or garlic mayonnaise. Yum. Mustard. Make sure it's Primal Kitchen brand I love, but mustard, you got to read the labels. A lot of them have sugar in them. So real mustard and ketchup from Primal Kitchen. No sugar in any of those. And olives. Got to have some olives. So yummy. And that was filling. Plus I had a couple pieces of leftover steak bites we had at dinner last night. So I'm stuffed. I do have to take about 10 HCl supplements to help break down protein. So I have my Hydrozyme I use from Biotics with my nutritional therapy clients, but I have to take 10 of them. So there's a little test you can do to figure out how much stomach acid support you need. So if you tend to have acid reflux, digestion issues, acid burping, kind of your food doesn't want to move south, you probably would benefit from Hydrozyme or HCl betaine supplement. Or just start with taking K-Pex because it has some HCl betaine, has digestive enzymes, has some berberine, and lots more stuff in it. So check out K-Pex. We have a discount code on the show notes for our listeners that they gave a really good deal on. But that's what I ate and took with those digestive supplements, and I'm going to use infrared soon. But really drinking lots of water today. I'm very dehydrated, so I added sea salt into my water I've been drinking, and I did make some herbal tea, some of the mushroom one, and turmeric tea that I've been drinking herbal tea all day. So that's with that. And lastly, I think I talked about everything, but someone asked listener on which type of heart rate monitor. Now, I used Polar early on because they were one of the first. I've used Garmin Watch forever. I do need a new one. We're doing another podcast with them in the new year on how to use your Garmin Watch. Theirs comes with the heart rate monitor. But a heart rate monitor I've been using because I own a fitness studio. We used MyZone in the studio, and I still use MyZone because I like how you can plug it in and charge it. So I have a code if you want to join our MyZone group, and that is a great monitor for connecting to your Garmin watch. And that's what I use. I don't trust any of the watches that just have the blue light through the watch on your wrist to read your heart rate. I would like you to wear a heart rate monitor that's around your chest, and it reads your heart rate from your chest. So try it out. The Garmin ones are great, or MyZone. And your Garmin, you can connect to Strava, so you can track your racing, training, and more for Maffetone training, your MAF heart rate. Look at your courses. If you're doing similar courses each week, you can track if your time's getting better, if you're staying at that, say, 130, 140 heart rate. So that's all I have today. I am hoping for you guys to sign up for my new online coaching group program. It's $597 if you sign up now for my January or March 30-day program. It will be $697 for the 30 days. And then the 5-day jumpstart, I'm doing December 7th, so the week after Thanksgiving, I'll be doing the 5-day jumpstart challenge. So what that is a liver detox. I teach you about intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating. We do lots of bone broth and kind of a keto carnivore or just keto eating, low carb, high fat. Keto, I always hate saying because it's just really, no sugar, no grains, doing more fat and protein and leafy vegetables, and teaching about that. We have calls 2 to 3 times that week, and then text messaging, but we Zoom video conference call to check in, and texting every day, keeping on accountability, what you ate, what you did for exercise. And usually when we do the detox week, you need to keep your exercise as a recovery week because you're not going to have as much energy because we're going to work on more of a fast, bone broth fast, and having more liquids most of the time, and then work towards a 24-hour fast as we go through the 30-day program. So anything else, just let me know. I do have a training program starting for Lava Man in January, and that race is on April 5th. It is sold out, but Debbie Potts coaching program gets 10 slots. So let me know if you want to join in with me and go to Kona. The race is on April 5th, so I'll probably go Wednesday and come home on Monday or Tuesday. And then the 5-day jump starts $97, or the 30-day program will be $697 next year because it's 2 calls a week and a lot of work every day. So sign up now. You can save $100. So that's it. Have a good long holiday season and enjoy time with your friends and family this time of year, and just get outside when you can. Take that vitamin D because we're not getting any daylight around here, and then we're outside, we're covered up, so our skin doesn't get that vitamin D from the sun. So let me know if you have questions. I love hearing from people to know that I'm helping you, and if you have questions, I love it when people reach out. So I will be able to respond to your questions if you want just a 15-minute free consultation to figure out what programs and services will be best fit for you, if I can help you, as I am focusing on the FDN practitioner health coaching and doing the functional lab testing with clients. That's going to be a 3-month or 6-month or a year program because we do 3 months and then we retest every 90 days. And so if you want to go deeper into resolving your, what we say, metabolic chaos and your contributors to your metabolic chaos, we have 5 labs we suggest starting with, and then retesting, making sure we're on the right program for you to heal and rebuild yourself from the inside out. So let me know if you want more. I'm trying to update my website, debbiepotts.net. You can find lots of info on my blog posts I keep writing. and more. So reach out to me and share this information and podcast with your friends if you would like to support the show. That would be a wonderful holiday gift to me if you can help grow the Whole Athlete podcast and debbiepotts.net, because I'm horrible at marketing on my own. Also, you can find me on Instagram, the Low Carb Athlete, as well as join my group page on Facebook, where we can go into more research and questions and getting more info on what you're up to on the Low Carb Athlete Facebook group page. Okay, and then also I'll be speaking on Jimmy Moore's Low Carb Cruise in May if you want to join me. I also got accepted at KetoCon to talk about how to train the whole athlete, or how to train the low carb athlete to improve performance and longevity. So that will be my topic. That's in Austin, Texas, next June 2020. So lots of stuff coming up next year, you guys. Join the journey and let's enjoy this together. All right. Happy holidays.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.